Okay, this is a note-taking day. We're starting our next unit. Our next unit is kind of hard. Till break, okay, or at least through this week, we're going to be going into this new unit. There's no way we'll finish it before finals, but the more we can get done, the better we are. These will be graded. We're on Unit 8 now, and this is Algebra 2 big time, okay? Meaning you got to know this. Systems of linear equations are two or more linear equations. Here's an example. Y equals x plus 2, y equals 3x minus 2. The solution to a system of linear equations is any ordered pair, an x number and a y number that makes both or all the equations in the system true. Put an x and a y. This is the solution to this. Here's why. I want notes down. Make a table, and on one side I want you to put y equals x plus 2, and on the other side I want you to put y equals 3. Put a dot between the 3 and the x, please, so you know that means times minus 2. Now, in this equation, please put 4 in for y, and then put 2 in for x. Now you line up your equals, you just have a 4 on that side. Now what's the value on the other side? Well, 2 plus 2 is 4. I got the same number, put a check mark. Now over here, cross out y, 4 goes in for y, and then the 2 goes in for x. This side you got 4, the other side you take 3 times 2, which is 6, and then minus 2, which is 4. Put a check mark. This is the answer to the system. That's the only answer. Now the question is, how do you take these equations and find that answer without the teacher giving it to you? Well, there's 3 ways. We're going to be working on the first way this week. One way is you can graph the equations and find out where the x and y cross. Now up here, what I want you to put off to the side is an xy coordinate pair. That's our answer. That's what we'll be putting in the answer. Now, you're going to need to go on your scratch paper, and I want this handed in tomorrow. I will pass out paper clips so you can clip it all together, okay? We're going to be doing 2 on each page. Example 1, put example 1, because you're going to need a lot of workspace. Please make a table, and on one side put y equals x plus 2. Then y equals 3x minus 2. Now, look at this equation. Do you have y and do you have x? Yes, you do, so make a wall on the y side. If you have y and x, make a wall on the y side. Is the y by itself? Yes, it is, so you can put your m and b. This is m, you'd put a 1 there, and this is b, okay? So m and b means we have our slope and our y-intercept. The slope is 1, needs a 1 under it, and the y-intercept is plus 2, okay? So on the y-axis, go up to positive 2. Then from there, you go forward 1, up 1. Okay. Do it 3 times at the most. Now take your ruler. You need a ruler for this. You can't do it without. And make the line as straight as possible. These lines need to be straight. They have to be. Okay. Now look in the other equation. Do you have y and x? Yes, you do. So you make a wall on the y side. You go m and b as long as the y is by itself. Slope, y int. So the slope is 3. Put a 1 under it, and minus 2 is your y-intercept. So you go down 2. Okay. Then 3 over 1, you go forward 1, up 3. Now if you run into a point from the first line, circle it, okay? Now just make the line through those 3 points, okay? Question, you see where those lines cross? That point is your answer. Now some of you need to know how to label a point. You're never going to survive Algebra 2 if labeling a darn point's confusing, okay? You start in the middle, and the X is how far forward or backwards. Well, I think I have to move forward. Now count the squares as you're moving forward till you're directly over it or under it. 1, 2. I'm moving forward, so I count +1, +2, and there I am. X is 2. Now you have to move up. Count the squares as you move up as positive. When you go forward, +1, +2. And now I'm right above or below it. I'm below it, doesn't matter. Then up, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So y is 4. Those are the answers to this equation. Okay? The system. This works for both of them. If I put 4 in for the y's and 2's in for the x's, they'll come out equal, just like they did on that first page. Again, what I'm concerned about is you guys getting the point labeled right, okay? Forward or backward? Well, you have to move forward, so you count by positive. 1, 2, x is 2, because this is your x, this is your y. So on X, you're 1, 2. On Y, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, next one. Y equals negative 3x minus 3. Y equals 2x plus 2. This is example 2. Make the table. On one side, write down your first equation. You're just copying it down. Y equals negative 3x minus 3. Then y equals 2x plus 2. Do you have y and x? You do. So make a wall on the y side, and the y is by itself, so we have our m and our b. Slope, y-int. Slope is negative 3, put a 1 under it, and then minus 3 is the y-intercept. So you go minus 3 on y. So negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Then your slope, forward 1, down 3 from the first point. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, down forward 1. Do it again. I think you got room. Okay. If you run out of room, 2's better than 1. Okay, just get 2 down. You got to have 2 at the very least. Okay, so you take your ruler and make a line. Don't make a wussy line. The line needs to go through the whole graph. Okay, or you're never going to find where it crosses on some of them. Now in the second equation, you have a y and an x. Yes, you do. So make a wall on the y side. Is y by itself? I think it is. So that's your m and your b. Slope, y-int. So the slope's 2, you put a 1 under it, and then plus 2 is your y-intercept. So now you're going to positive 2. That means up. Positive 1, positive 2. Then from there I use my slope. Forward 1, up 2. Okay. Make the line. Goes through the whole graph. Now, you've got to know how to label your answer. This is where the lines cross, okay? Make a point where they cross and circle it. See up here, I already had the point, but here you just simply make a point where they cross, circle it. Now that tells me the answer. Put your pencil in the middle. This is the X line, okay? You'd have to move here and you're right over under it. So you're moving backwards, so negative 1 is the x. When you move left or backwards, if you count by negatives, so negative 1. Then I don't need to move up or down because I'm right on the point. So 0 is the y. There it is. Negative 1, 0. Example 4. No, example 3, my bad. Okay. Again, you need to find the coordinate that works for both of them. Okay. Example 3. On one side, y equals x minus 4. On the other side, y equals negative x. Okay, do you have y and x in the equation? Yes, you do. So you make a wall on the y side. Y is by itself, so we have our m as 1, b is 4. If you don't have a number in front of the x, you put a 1. Okay. Slope y-ant, but not in front of the y, because I want the y by itself. Putting a 1 there doesn't make the y by itself. So 1 over 1 minus 4 for the y-intercept. So my negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. Then forward 1, up 1. Take the ruler, make a straight line through the whole graph. It has to go through the whole graph. Now, over here, do you have y and x? Yes, you do. Okay? So make a wall on the y side. You got m there, you put a 1. Now, if you don't have anything, you don't put plus 1, you put 0. If your b is not present, the b is 0. Okay? So the slope would be negative 1 over 1, and the y-intercept would be 0. So having a y-intercept of 0 means it's just right in the middle. Okay? Then you go down 1, forward 1. If you run into a point from the other line, circle it, because that's going to be your answer. Okay? If you don't run into it, you'll have to make it yourself. So, x, this is the x line. You have to move forward. 1, 2. Now you're right there. Now you have to move downward, because this is the y-axis, okay? So x, I'm moving forward, so I count positive 1, positive 2. Then on the y, you have to go up or down. I think I have to move down to get to the point, okay? So again, here's how you do this. It's not that hard, okay? Put your pencil in the middle, move forward first, okay? You move forward 2 squares, so x is 2, okay? Then you move downward 1, 2, so that's negative 2. 2, negative 2. That's where that coordinate's at. It's forward 2, down 2. 2 because it's forward, negative 2 because it's downward. Okay, example 4 is an odd duck, okay? On one side, x equals negative 2, y equals 5. Look at this side. Don't worry about the other side. On this equation here, do you have x and y both? No, you're missing y. So what you're going to do is make the 3 coordinates. You're not going to use slope, or you're not going to make the wall. So what's the letter you're not missing? You're not missing x, so x is negative 2. What am I missing? I'm missing the y. Y can be anything. Keep it simple. 1, 2, 3. Now plot those. So you go backwards 1, 2, up 1. Okay? This is x, this is y. So I got to move 2 backwards. Now I got to move 1 up. Now, negative 2, 2. Backwards 2, up 2. From the middle. Backwards 2, up 3. Make the line. Use your ruler. How about this one? Do I have y and x both in this equation? I don't. So put the one you're missing. So no wall if you don't have y and x. You're missing x, so you make 3 coordinates. Which letter am I not missing? I'm not missing the y, so all my y values are at 5. X can be whatever I want, okay? So let's go 1, 2, 3. So I go forward 1, right 1, because it's positive, and up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right 2, up 5. When it's positive, it's right. When it's negative, it's left. When it's positive, think of that as forward, that's backward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then forward 3, up 5. Now, those lines definitely are going to cross. And you need to mark a point where they cross, circle it. Now you need to label that point, okay? Put your pencil in the middle. This is the X line. You got to find the X value. Okay. 1, 2, I'm right below it. I moved backwards, so it's -2. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I moved upwards, so it's +5. -2, +5 is the solution, okay? Number 5, okay? Number 5 and 6 are a pain in the butt. Example 5. On one side you got x minus y equals -4. And on the other side you got 4x minus y equals -1. Do you have x and y in the equation? Yes, you do. You put a wall on the y side, but the y is not by itself, so don't put m and b if the y is not by itself. You make sure they have numbers in front, plus, negative, put a dot, circle. Well, the problem is that shouldn't be a negative in that circle. So since it is, we need to do the opposite rule. That goes from positive to -1. That goes from -1 to +1. That goes from -4 to +4. So, you got to take out your x. So you put a plus 0x and then add 1x to the 0x. So you got 1 times y. You put your x down first. 0 and 1 make 1. The 1x has to go before the 4. Now you divide all of these by 1, and guess what happens? The y is now isolated by itself. So 1 divided by 1 is not a decimal. Just put 1x, then 4 divided by 1 is 4. Now the y is by itself, so you have your m and your b. So slope would be 1. Then I reapply a 1 under it because I need that. Then the y-intercept is plus 4. So go up to +4. And then from there you go up 1, forward 1. Now the other equation, do you have y and x? Yes, you do. Make a wall on the y side. Okay, y is not by itself, so we got to first apply a 1, make it plus, negative, dot, and circle it. You can't have a negative there. You need to do the opposite rule. That goes to a -4, that would go to a +1, and that would go to a +1. So now take out your -4x by putting a 0x, because you need an x on that side, and then add 4x to 0x. So we got 1 times y, and then you got x, 0 plus 4 is 4, and then plus 1. Got to divide everything by your 1, so that the 1 gets off the y. 4 divided by 1 is 4. 1 divided by 1 is 1, and guess what? MB. Okay, just like that. So slope is 4, put a 1 under it, and the y-intercept is plus 1. Okay, plus 1. Then I go up 4, forward 1. There's already a point there. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think I know where they're going to cross, okay? If you run into a point from the other line, circle it because that is where the answer is going to be, okay? Now, once again, this is the X line. Start in the middle and you got to get to that point. Okay, I'm right under it. It only took 1 square to do it. How many squares did I move? 1. Was it forward or backwards? It was forward, so it's positive 1. Then, to get to your Y, okay, you'd have to go up. 1, 2, count the vertical squares. How many did I move? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I moved 5. Did I move 5 up or 5 down? It's 5 up, so it's positive. Okay? So that coordinate there is forward 1, up 5. Okay? X is 1, Y is 5. Okay, turn over the packet, and now you got the last problem. Example 6. Kind of like the last one. X plus 3y equals 12. Then we have x minus y equals negative 8. So on one side you put x plus 3y equals 12. On the other side you put x minus y equals negative 8. Okay, do you have x and y in the equation? You do. So you make a wall on the y side. Y is not by itself. So you don't do MB yet. You will eventually, but you dot and circle your Y. Put a 1 in front of the X. If I have to do this wall and the dot circle, I'm always going to do the wall, but if I have to do the dot circle, these both need to have numbers in front. Now, this is already positive inside of here, so put a check mark. You're not going to do the opposite rule, but you do need to put your 0x, because you need an X over there, so take out your 1x. Then you can minus it from the 0. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. You got to put that first. Then the 12. The plus 12 goes in the end. Now, divide by 3. Everything's divided by 3. Negative 1 divided by 3 is not negative 3, it's a decimal. When you're dividing a smaller number by a larger number, it's a decimal. You need to keep that as a fraction. Okay? 12 divided by 3 is 4. So now you got your m and your b. This is why we need it as a fraction, because that's my slope. My slope is negative 1/3. The negative's just to the 1, not with the 3. Plus 4 is a y-intercept, so go up to plus 4. Then from there, forward 3, down 1. I have never moved backwards on a slope, okay? So down 1, forward 3. Down 1, forward 3. Okay, example 6. No, and then on the other side. X and y are both in the equation. You make a wall on the y side. If y is not by itself, well, that's a problem we need to address. Plus negative, dot circle the y, not the x, the y, okay? It's negative, so you need to do the opposite effect. Negative, positive, positive, okay? So I add a 0x, so I have a place to put this 1x. I'm going to get out of here. Okay, so 1 times y, then you put x, it's 1 plus 8. Divide all that crap by 1, every single term by 1. 1 divided by 1 is 1. It's a whole number. I will reapply a 1 underneath here later. Plus 8. MB, okay? So the slope is 1, put a 1 under it. And the y-intercept is positive 8, okay? So go up to positive 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I think you can only do the slope once. Up 1, forward 1. If you can only do it, hey, that's better than nothing, okay? You can still make the line, can't you? Yeah, you can, okay? Okay, now, what is that point where they meet? We'll make the point where they meet, circle it. Now, my point's not great, so I'm going to estimate, okay? So I have to, on the x-axis, this is the x. 1, 2, 3. Did I move forward or back? I think I moved back, so it's -3. Then 1, 2, this is the y, that direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5, did I move up or down? I moved up. So 5. Back 3, up 5 from the middle. So back 3 means -3, up 5 means +5.